Ken and Mike Show.
Check to the...
And now, Ken and Mike.
Hello.
Yeah, buddy.
Good evening.
I can't hear myself
night.
at all.
Good night.
I can't hear myself at all. Can you
Really?
hear me?
I hear you.
You hear me? All right. Well,
Good night, right? It's a good night.
Good night.
It's a good night.
evening.
It's night out.
Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. And if I don't see you, good night.
Good night.
Isn't that what the...
Man on the Moon.
Yeah. Right.
No, the Truman Show.
Truman Show. That's a good show, yeah.
Man on the Moon.
Man on the Moon. Truman Show.
I painted his wife in the movie's house. Laura Linney.
You painted his what? Oh,
Laura Linney, yeah. Her
Oh.
house. I painted it.
interesting kind of Mike Show fact.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I helped a particular person paint the house, for sure.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, we should do a show of all the famous people that we've come across and met. I mean, we could probably fill up a lot of airtime.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of
Every
cool.
time I look in the mirror.
That's right.
That's what I say. I'm
Stole
awesome.
it right from me.
Hey, by the way, everybody who's listening, thank you
You
so
are-
much for tuning in right here to the Ken and Mike Show. We're so glad you are. We are talking about a lot of things tonight.
Yes.
Oh, not, I want to say a
and
lot.
you know that voice that you
Sensitive.
heard here is Ken and Mike?
Yeah.
And now Ken and Mike?
Yeah. Hey.
That voice is going to be on our show tonight.
Yeah, Mr. Ted Flint. He's coming on at 8:30.
8:30.
30-ish.
30-ish.
And I feel like we have a great coming on.
Hey, you
He's
know what I'm going to do?
yeah.
I'm going to share our feed right now, which is a
Yeah.
good time for you guys who are watching the show to share us
Where can
with
you
your
watch us?
friends. They can
Yeah.
watch us on
YouTube.
YouTube. They can watch us on right now here on Facebook Live. Share us with your friends right now. Make our audience a lot bigger because your friends become our friends, and eventually
They
we just get the word of God out
And we're
there to
friendly
everybody.
people, so we want to be friendly
Well, I am.
to
I don't
your
know
friends.
about you, but
yeah,
you know.
I'm not.
So, Ken, how was your week?
It was really good.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was good. Busy, and everything's just crazy, but that's life.
I just posted that to the wrong page. Hey, That
Awesome.
was pretty cool. So it's not going to go on
Yeah.
other pages.
But listen, so we are glad. By the way, this show is brought to you by Tri-Oak Builders, and you can go to their website, trioakbuilders.com. Give Preston a call today because he wants to give you a great estimate at a fair market value on your kitchens, bathrooms, tile work. We have some. I believe we have new pictures tonight, don't we?
Yes,
We do.
We do.
We do. And of a bathroom they just did renovated. It is what a good job. That's
Yeah.
a.
You
I
guys-
want that.
You guys
bath.
get to see an example of
Yeah.
the fabulous work that these guys do. They're built on relationships, and relationships are number one with these guys.
And you can
they-
call them, right?
They want to have a relationship with you.
Yeah.
So trioakbuilders.com.
Yeah.
And what's the phone
The
number?
phone numbers.
You haven't memorized yet?
I almost
Come on, come
actually I
on.
do 518-267. I got to look at it 3288. So 518-267-3288. I won't ever forget it
All right,
again.
don't look. Go,
I
do it
won't
one more time.
518-267-3288.
Awesome.
Yeah, trioakbuilders.com.
Hey, Mel, do you know the number yet?
No, I do not. unfortunately.
518-267-3288, Mel.
Come on, Mel.
Well, between that number, our number,
Well, you know.
Yeah. Social Security number. I know all you guys' Social
Yeah.
Security
So
number.
anything special happened this week? You guys good? Everything good?
School.
Before we get in the meat and potatoes of our show, I know
Yeah.
you got school.
It is what it is. I don't
And,
care less right now.
Wow.
I just wanna
You've
be
already got the
done.
bah
I
humbug
just want to
school
be
spirit.
done. It's hard when you
Awesome,
have three kids.
awesome.
You know how it is. When you have three kids, when you have kids, I'll just put it that way, or a kid, and you're doing school and you got a full-time job and you got other things in life, it just gets kind of like, and especially when you're at your last semester, you're kind of like, just give me the work and leave me alone. don't talk to me. Don't ask me another question. Let me just get it done.
Wow. Well, you know, how many kids you got?
3. Tree. And a dog. So.
I have 4, but my wife would argue she has 5.
Why? Oh, you? Oh, wow. Wow, that's harsh.
So you're tuning into the Ken and Mike Show. This is a show that's all about you guys, the topics you bring forth to us, the topics that are interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I'm having a hard time speaking again. Interesting to you. And the phone line is open for you guys to call in and talk to us about whatever you guys want to talk to us about. And
Get on here before 8:30 though.
yes,
Ted's
because we're going to
coming
have
on,
Ted coming on at 8:30-ish. And tonight, I mean, we're going to be talking about a few things. We're going to be talking about
suicide.
suicide, and we're going to be talking about Christians. I use the term loosely, and hating Trump.
Ah,
You know, and we're gonna kind of go down that road a little bit and see what kind of mud we can kick up.
we're going to convince you why you shouldn't.
So that's where we're going to go with the show tonight. And then when Ted comes on, I do not know Ted, but Ken worked with Ted.
I did.
Mel worked with Ted.
So I'll give you a quick background. He can give you a little bit too. But Ted, basically, he was a talk show host. He is a talk show host. He's not on right now. Is he back? Is he on WGY?
No, that's where he was.
Oh,
he was
okay.
on WGY.
He was at one time. So he worked with him and his wife both do voiceover work. They're really excellent. And then Ted, of course, did it for over 8 years, I think it was, at the station that we worked for. And he was and he did a political show from a Christian perspective, and he was well known around the area, and he really knows his stuff.
So we're looking forward to hearing from him tonight.
Yeah, it's
awesome.
gonna be good. Yep.
So where do we want to go first? Do we want to talk about the suicide, or do we want to talk about Christians hating Trump? I mean, how do we really want to open this up?
I believe Ted really wants to chime in on the suicide thing.
Does he?
Because he grew up Catholic, so he has a lot to say about that. Actually.
Oh, awesome! He grew up catatonic.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah. And but him and his wife now are went to the other side.
We brought him over here to the dark side.
No,
no, it's not the dark side.
No, but he's got a different perspective. So
awesome. Well, it's good to have that perspective.
So we can go to the Trump route first if we'd like to.
Okay.
Yeah. So since you hate him, why don't you start?
Oh, I deplore Trump. Absolutely.
Deplorable.
Yes, absolutely. Is it? Because you just go through social media. We are a social media based show, so we're going to talk freely about social media. But if you go down social media and you go down any of your Facebook pages, your Instagram feeds, all those Twitter feeds, and there's many people I know, honestly, in my quote unquote friends list, who post just awful, detestable things about our president. And I'm not saying you have to agree with all of his politics, but yet they openly discuss how they absolutely hate him. He's a disgusting human being. He's absolutely an immoral character. But yet, in the same breath, they will tell you how much they love Jesus Christ and how they are Christians and they carry the banner of Christianity.
But the facts is what boggles my mind. They don't really show facts of why he's horrible.
Well, I'm not even going to get into that. First off, I just want to get right down to the brass tacks of it. If you're a Christian, can you hate anybody?
You can. You shouldn't.
Dislike.
Well, no, just the word hate, because if we use hate in Scripture, it is just not a word that we're encouraged to use, or an emotion that we're encouraged to have. Now, are we not commanded to love everybody?
To love our brothers.
Love our enemy, right?
Yeah.
So now people who have these opinions against Trump will arguably say that Trump is an enemy, right? Mm-hmm. So if Trump is your enemy and you have the banner of Christian, should you not love Trump?
So we shouldn't hate Satan?
Satan's the enemy.
I know. I'm playing devil's advocate here.
But I'm just for argument's sake, Christians hating Trump is a form of suicide. Marine post.
What'd she say?
It's pretty good. But hating. Somebody wrote something. Mario. I'm gonna murder his name. So I'm just gonna go do my best here.
We're talking about hate and murder.
Mario Murillo Ministries. There are Christians who hate Trump. Let's call it for what it is. It is their hate, which is very strange for those who name the name of Jesus, that dulls their ability to see the inaccuracy of their comments and their myopic views. Now, he makes a good comparison to a biblical character and Trump. Now, let's just go with this for a second. There's nothing biblical about Trump, a lot of so-called Christians say. Because we usually say, Trump has probably got the most pro-Christian administration than we have seen in a long time, if not ever seen, correct? I mean, would you agree with that assessment?
I do agree with that, actually. We've talked about this.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they say that actually there's nothing biblical. This writer says there's actually nothing biblical about that statement. Now, take, for example, the prophet Daniel. He served Nebuchadnezzar. Daniel recognized the role that this pagan king played in God's unfolding drama. The church's ability to work with Trump is totally biblical. So he's making the correlation.
Yes.
there.
I think I've actually read something like this before.
Have you?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, check that.
Yeah, I just saw that it said she was listening to you.
Why is Siri listening to me?
You have the Siri feature on.
Always listening.
Yeah, Big Brother. Anyway. So he goes on to say, I've tried very hard to figure out what causes believers to hate Trump. Our side won a long overdue and miraculous victory at polls, and yet these believers choose to aid and abet the other side. Is it because their favorite Christian didn't win? Is it a case of sour grapes? They didn't require any president to be a squeaky clean pastor until President Trump.
Right. Yeah.
And that's a good argument. Now, let's talk about his predecessor. They always say, back when Trump was out speaking and how Christians were talking about how unbiblical Trump is, the first thing they would say is, you can't judge him. You can't judge him.
You're talking about Obama?
Yeah.
Okay.
So why now is it okay
to judge Trump? Right. I think it's our right to judge any president based on where they are, where they're at, what they believe in, what their values are, their morals are, all of that stuff, and how they want to run the country. That's important that we do that. However, I know what you're saying though. We can't judge him because anytime you did, they used the skin color.
Right.
Every time. With Trump, though, I think the biggest thing with Trump is, on a Christian perspective, always, I would say, like you just mentioned, we're not trying to vote in a pastor. That's not what this is. We're looking for a leader. He's not a pastor of a church. He's a leader of so many facets of the country, and he's a darn good one.
Can I ask you a question?
You can.
Do you remember when Franklin Graham
Yes.
questioned Barack Obama's Christianity?
Yes.
And how quickly he was attacked for that.
Yeah.
Now, but it's okay now for those same people to question Trump's Christianity.
Right. And they usually go back to, well, he was pro-abortion at one time, or he was this way at one time. He was a Democrat.
Hey, I was a pro a lot of things before I found Jesus.
Same here. But the thing is it's just like, if somebody, whether they did wrong or right that time, if they're choosing to do right now, isn't that what matters the most? I mean, because if we take a look at ourselves and say, look at where we're at, I'm sure we could make comparisons too, like how imperfect we are in our lives. But people don't care about that. They just want to spout stuff out there.
I want to challenge our Christian listeners, and I'm hoping our audience is predominantly of faith. Now, Barack Obama, these are some facts.
Just when you say that name, it just makes
so
fuzzy.
The person who we were told not to judge his Christian faith. Barack Obama fought for same-sex marriage.
Yep.
Okay. Late-term abortion.
Yep.
Gave billions to Iran.
Yep.
And I would argue...
On an airplane, yeah.
And I would argue he was biblically the most hostile president in
Absolutely,
history.
100% agree with you. 110% agree with you. And by the way, one thing you mentioned, the late term, he also was, I would say, he was like the spokesperson for Planned Parenthood. Trump is the opposite.
Right.
He's been at the pro-life events.
Well, and that's what I want to talk about. Here's another thing. Right now, I granted, Trump is not Reagan. Okay, Reagan was a smooth talker.
Reaganistic.
No, he's Reaganist in a way that he doesn't put up with any crap.
Right.
Okay,
right.
But as far as being the great speaker, Reagan was
suave.
smooth. He was suave, and he knew how to talk to his audience. Yeah. Okay. Trump, on the other hand, we don't need smooth right now.
No.
In this day and age, we don't need smooth. Now, Barack Obama, who was pro-abortion, got you to be smoking in I always joke around the Motley Crue song, "Smoking in the Boys' Room," and that was that meme that came out. Well, now you're smoking in the I don't identify as transgender, whatever bathroom.
He put Christians down, by the way.
Right.
Always. But who do you esteem?
The Ayatollah? No.
Yes, he esteemed Muslim and Sharia law way more than he did Christianity.
Right.
Always had something good to say about them.
He gave us divided bathrooms.
Yep.
He gave us.
You mean the bathroom bills you're talking about?
Yes.
Where, yeah. So not divided anymore. He closed the gap.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, so in contrast of the pro-Christian Obama, okay, in contrast, Trump, who is not Christian, who everybody says we have to hold to this moral standard, he addressed the March for Life.
Yes,
Okay.
he did. Yep.
He chose a born-again, on-fire vice president.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see. He rescinded the executive orders that banned federal funds from Christian organizations.
Mm-hmm.
He overruled the Johnson Amendment that banned free speech of pastors.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. He put some high powers on Supreme Court who helped Christian bakers to exercise their right of freedom of religion.
Imagine that.
But he is not. This is my problem. I don't care how you feel about the man. As far as where he stands for the Christian faith in this country, we need him right now.
Key word. Country. Our country.
Right.
America. That's what we're standing for. That's what he stands for.
Right.
And Maureen, I love this. I've used this too. King David is a great example of a leader who was an amazing leader, an amazing king, and absolutely flawed in every way.
Yeah.
And
can God use the flawed?
Look at you. I mean,
exactly.
You know,
look at our producer. Have you seen anybody more flawed? No. I just wanted to see his luck if he was even paying attention.
And
what was that?
See, he didn't know how to turn his mic on.
See, he wasn't even paying attention to us whatsoever.
I was paying attention to our watchers here and reading their comments.
Well, Tammy, apparently he did become a Christian, but it's not for us to judge his Christianity and his level of truth. That's not my point.
Yeah.
It's his policies.
Yeah.
It's the person. I mean, face it. If I met Trump as a human being before he became president, I probably wouldn't like the guy at all.
I would. Dude.
Only because you want his pocketbook.
You got it. Hey, buddy. Do I know you? You do. You do know me, remember? I'm your son.
Yeah. Your illegitimate son?
Yeah.
That's why you're not a Christian.
Hey. Yeah.
So, but the same people who are saying we can't, you can't judge Barack Obama by that. You can't call him anti-Christian.
You can judge by what he said.
Right. But these same people now are saying
we are not a Christian nation. Who'd that come from?
Him himself, Obama himself.
Exactly.
So, but my problem is with all of this is for the Christian cause and all these Christians who are on Facebook and all your social media saying Trump is disgusting. He's the worst thing that's ever happened to the country. He's the best thing that's ever happened to your faith in this country.
I agree. If you are a Christian,
I mean,
it's the best.
As far as your agenda. Now, face it, we all have an agenda.
If you're pro-life, all right. If you love the Lord, if you like to practice your religion, Christian faith, and if you believe in freedom of speech, and if you believe in your gun rights, if you believe in these things, then I don't know why you're complaining. Why? Because he tweets? Just don't pay attention.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just look at what don't look at the surface
stuff.
stuff.
No, they argue he hates brown people. Show me how that's true.
It's not. That's the bottom line.
Show me.
We could make
he
the
didn't
same
hate brown
case,
people, and you didn't think he hated brown people until he became president.
I could say that about Obama about white people. I could say that I feel like he hated white people, but they wouldn't like that. Right?
I don't want to speak because I might get in trouble. No, you're right.
No,
I'm
just
absolutely.
Saying, you can turn this
correct.
around.
Right.
It's so sad that we even feel like, oh my gosh, can I say something like that?
We have gotten to that point in this country
ridiculous.
where I have to analyze every single word I say because in fear of what the 1% of our population is going to feel about what I say.
Could be 2%
Why are we
now,
are dictating our policy to, and I'm not talking about race here. I'm talking about anything. Anybody that has an opinion, special interest groups. Why are we dictating policy for our culture based on a very small percentage of the population?
It's the same thing in the homosexual community
and that's what I'm referring
community.
to.
Yeah,
transgender people make up. I think they said like 0.004% of the population, but yet we will dictate policy based on
a couple.
Yeah, and it's true to that saying. The greasy or the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
No, I'm going to tell you why.
They make the most
you know what
noise.
Speaks? You know what speaks?
Money.
Yeah.
Right.
Wherever the money is, because, for example, you take Ilhan Omar, what's the other one? Talib. Anti-Semitic.
AOC?
No, I'm talking about anti-Semitic comments.
Yeah. Right.
Nothing said. Sharia law.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing how quiet the feminists are, the third-wave feminists are, but yet they're quiet against Sharia law, some Muslim beliefs that bring women way lower than even animals sometimes, but yet will then yell at us, mostly Christians, because we're choosing the right to life.
Well, I was just
Don't
discussing
forget,
this.
some people did something.
Well, I was just discussing this with a mutual friend of ours, Jonathan Steen, and he's a professor at a college, and we were talking about that whole thing. He had a professor at one time, a long time ago, when he was in college. He kind of caught her off guard because she started saying these different things, like those women that are in those countries don't need other women from here to come alongside of them, meaning to help them get out of that, basically.
Okay.
But he challenged her on that, like. You know what happens to them, right? They have no rights. They can't even get a license. All these
Right.
different things.
Absolutely correct.
But when they come over here, they have those same rights that we do. So the thing is, though, is we talk about these cultures that come in, and they always get like, oh, we got to let these guys do this or do that, and allow all this stuff. Because you saw that also. What is it? CARE. It's called CARE. Okay, that whole thing it's crazy. It's crazy. So but not only if the women come over, so do the men. The men aren't going to change their beliefs about the way women are.
No.
That's the point. It's called, like, they say, like, well, we need to have, that multiculturalism aspect, and Trump's not that way and stuff like that. But it's like, no, he has common sense to know that there's a difference in cultures and there's conflicts that happen, and we need to keep people safe to realize that, so that so that we are literally not going to be conflicting like big time and make it a huge.
Well, his point is make America great again. The fact that you can come to this country with your belief, your religious belief, and practice it freely.
Yes.
With no restrictions.
Amongst yourselves. Don't push it on anybody.
Yeah. But you have that freedom.
Yeah.
Is it not okay to have a difference in culture amongst countries? Absolutely.
Right.
So it's what I identify with here.
But if you do, you're a globalist. Or I'm sorry, a nationalist.
But that's that's the point about even him wanting certain people to come into the countries, because he's saying, look at overseas. I've been there in a couple different countries. I know there's a difference. There is a big difference.
What
I've been
happens
there.
if you were to try and do some of the things that the special interests, the minority groups are trying to do in this country? What would happen if you were to try and do that over in the Middle East countries?
Right.
You'd get shot. You could put to the gulags. You'd get whatever. But we're the great Satan because we want to
take precautions.
Yeah.
But then again, we're also the uncle or the police of the rest of the globe.
Right, but he is saying that we have to be careful because their cultures they believe in a different way, and sometimes it's not the best for our countries. Drugs, rape.
It's okay for them to have that in their country. That's their country.
But they also don't have the Constitution that we have.
Our country.
The freedom of speech, the freedom of religion, the freedom to bear arms. They don't have those freedoms. So if you're a woman who's in a Sharia law country, you don't have the same rights that you do if you came to America. I mean, how many of them are congresswomen?
But what's crazy is that they believe in Sharia law, but they want to bring it into this, and they know how degrading it is to women as well. Do you ever think about that?
No, I and that's where the whole
so
confusion,
weird.
like, it's so weird that the third wave feminists are so silent.
Right?
on
Why is that?
No, it is really weird. So you think that usually all the feminists are the left leaning.
You think they
side of the
fight against
aisle,
that?
But then again,
But they're not, because
the people that
money.
Money.
But then they're also the same group that want to have Sharia law and adapt that whole culture over here. But yet you see what they do with women.
Yeah.
How can you talk out of both sides of your mouth?
I don't know. But you see it
Because they're getting paid in the pocket.
Some of the women that spoke out when they got out from underneath that, from over there, whether they were from here and went there, and from there to here, they're so happy that they're not there anymore.
They're talking out of something that's not too close to where their wallet's kept.
That's true.
But there's actual videos of women who are they're literally standing against wearing a hijab.
Huh.
They're making a protest themselves. There's videos of them taking it off and this and that. And there's a couple of them where there's a woman who took it off on a bus somewhere. I think it was here in the U.S.
Yeah.
And this Muslim guy was like on her like you wouldn't believe, and she just wasn't having it. She's like, I'm in America. I have a right to dress how I want to dress. Sharia law is not here. It's not in this place.
Right.
I got to tell you, someone was telling me the other day that there was they went swimming somewhere, and there was a lady there that had the whole, but she also had a bikini over top of that. That's what I said. I said, are you joking with me?
That had to have been a visual comedy.
I'm like, you're joking, though. He's like, no.
And I'm not saying that to make fun of the person, but
It's
I mean just visually.
But
it
I
must
guess
have
they're
been-
making
must
a
have been hysterical.
specific bathing suit now so you can
So
get
they
it
had
wet.
the whole garb.
Yes, that's
yet
what I-
They had a bikini.
That's what I
over
asked.
it.
I said, is that... I said,
That
can you
had to-
clarify?
That must have been visually interesting.
I just don't know. I don't get it.
Wearing a sheet
Yeah.
Wow, that's odd.
Yeah.
while you're swimming.
Anyway,
Sorry, I'm creating
yeah.
dead air there because it's
Yeah.
literally
No.
speechless.
So yeah. Back to some of our Trump stuff though, and Maureen, if she's still tuned in right now, she from the get go, she knew Trump was going to get elected. She was excited about that. I remember actually. She actually started out. She thought it was going to be. It was going to be. A lot of us did. We thought it was going to be him, and he's going to have Ted Cruz as the vice.
I'll be honest. I laughed my butt off when Trump first entered the race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he first, I was like, "There's no way.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no way."
Everybody
I did
said that,
say,
yeah.
I did say that might be a good idea, jokingly.
Yes.
Like, you know what? Why not? We've
Yeah.
already had the worst of the worst. Why not put a businessman in there and see what happens? And I jokingly said we could not have this guy as president. But now I will admit I was wrong.
Yeah. Well, I was excited because I'm just like, dude, we just need anybody but what we have right now.
Oh yeah, we don't need career politicians. And you know what? If you could throw somebody else in there that is not a polished politician,
Yeah. But is on the trajectory that he's on.
yeah,
I don't
I'd
care.
be all for that too.
Yeah.
Kenny, will you run? You run. I'll vote for you.
Yeah, totally run. Yeah. Guys, at the ballot box, write my name.
I'm
the
Donald
three of
Duck.
you.
Right in Donald Duck.
Yeah.
So you're watching the Ken and Mike Show.
You are.
You can tune in to us on Facebook. You can tune in to us on YouTube after the show. You can also catch us on Twitter. You can catch us on what are the other Instagram?
Yep.
And we also have Twitter accounts. So
yeah, we do. And you can go. You know what? I'll say make it easier. Go to iTunes.com. Go to iTunes.
iTunes,
and
you
check
can download us on iTunes and
Castbox. If you want to get that, yep, you can watch.
I said it right this
yeah, you
week.
did.
I said it right this week.
Castbox. And Maureen, I know. I remember you were Trump from day one, and you were right.
Hey, I'll admit it, I jumped on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
I was not Trump day one. I mean, I was conservative from day one, and I saw Trump jump on. I was like, you got to be kidding me, really?
Yeah,
He doesn't have a chance.
But I am so glad that he did.
Yeah.
I am.
I remember the day we were all walking at work, and we were walking out to our lunch break, and we were all just saying, there's no way possible, but it'd be awesome if he did.
Yes, and she said, and most of all, he was standing with pro-lifers.
Yes.
See, that was the big tipping point for I think a lot of
Right.
people was like, okay, he's pro-life.
And and I've said this many times, and my politics aren't good. I don't recommend anybody take this viewpoint. But my viewpoint as far as voting for a candidate, it's never safe to say I'm a single issue voter. That's not a safe stance to take. I admit that. But that's the first question I ask. I don't care who's running. Where does that person stand on the right to life?
Yeah.
Because if you can tell me that this person stands for the right of life, I can generally, now this isn't true with everybody because there's been some nut jobs out there that stand for the right of life, but yet their fiscal policies are terrible. But generally, if your moral compass is right, you're going to be more conservative in your in your budgeting, foreign affairs, fiscal. Usually,
Policy.
Your policy in general.
Yes.
Not always
Yes.
true. There's
Yeah.
that caveat to that, and then you
Yes.
have to look deeper at the person. But immediately, I
Usually,
automatically know I'm not voting for you
Yeah.
if you don't stand for the right for
Yeah.
life. So
And
the
it's
second that's
yeah.
up there, I can probably alleviate most of the ballot.
Yeah, exactly. And incidentally, we're going to be talking about life later
Well,
on in the show.
Well, it's interesting
About
that
suicide,
that
but-
now there's that distinction.
Yeah.
A few years ago, there wasn't
Yes.
so much that distinction. There was a lot of Democrats who were pro-life.
Yeah.
And so it was very hard to have
Right.
that distinction
Yeah.
because then you had to go further. You say, okay, are they constitutional?
Yeah.
You
Hey,
know,
Hey, but yeah.
I
yeah.
hate to jump this,
Yeah.
but we are going to be having our guest here shortly.
Yeah, he
and
should be calling in. Yeah.
We need to go to our commercial break before we have him
So
on.
stay tuned on because we are going to have Mr. Ted Flint, one of our buddies, talk show hosts, one of the greats.
Yeah.
We're going to have him on.
I've
in
never
just a little
talked to
while.
him, so I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to talking to him and picking his brain about the topic we have tonight. So
Yeah.
let us roll with our commercial and the guys that help make this show possible.
Be right back. When he pushes the button, we'll be right back on the Ken and Mike show. Something was weird. So listen. In the meantime, though, so Ted's going to come on. We're going to talk about suicide from a Christian perspective, and it's going to be good. So stay tuned in right here on the Ken and Mike Show. Here on the Ken and Mike Show, we not only love building relationships, but strive to be honest and integral in all we do. Thankfully, this is the same philosophy held by our friends at Tri-Oak Builders.
Tri-Oak Builders, who are right here in the Upper Hudson Valley, are a family-owned company that puts these values to work in everything they do. From custom bathroom builds and renovations to kitchen and tiles, they've got you covered, and all at a fair market value.
So, if you're like us and like doing business with companies that want to provide the best service possible for their customers at an affordable price, then you need to call the builders you can trust. Tri-Oak Builders.
Call them today for a free estimate at 518-267-3288. That's 518-267-3288. You can also check them out online at trioakbuilders.com.
Tri-Oak Builders.
Where building relationships matter. Oak Builders.
Where building relationships matter. And they do matter.
Yes, they do.
Hey, Preston, by the way, mentioned there, they believe in relationships. Give them a call, 518-267-3288 or trioakbuilders.com.
That's 518-267-3288.
You got it.
Did I get it?
You got it.
I didn't even look at the card.
Yeah, good.
I didn't even
good.
look.
You listened to me.
Is it trioakbuilders.com?
Yeah, trioakbuilders.com.
That was
Call
the easy
Preston,
one.
pick his brain. Dude, he'd love to talk to you.
And
or
Eli
that.
too. Eli Hoffman.
Eli Hoffman, absolutely.
Yeah.
Preston, I think, does more of the phone stuff.
Yeah.
Eli's the guy. He does the work.
He does the
work. Good
Sorry.
work.
Sorry, Preston.
Yeah. And so, Ted's going to be calling, and if he doesn't, I'm going to hand this phone over to you if you want to give him a little call, or I can actually get it on while I talk.
Well, we can start preempting the topic. I mean,
you start that. Let me get him on.
Hey, as Christians, this is in light of some sad news that came out last week that a pastor, a fairly well-known pastor, Jared Wilson, took his own life. And he's a pastor. And you can just do a big N on that. Do an N. Do an N. Do an N. There you go. Okay.
All right.
Shoot. Jared Wilson is the one who committed suicide. And the question is, if he committed suicide, did he commit an unpardonable sin?
Yeah. Did he go? Is he in hell? Basically,
Right.
that is generally the question that everyone asks.
Right.
When it comes to being a Christian and suicide, or even not a Christian and suicide. Well, obviously, if you're not a Christian, but is my loved one or whoever I knew, are they in heaven? I mean. And everybody's like, well, that's a bad thing to do. I don't know. And we can look at it from a biblical perspective, and it clearly states that it's not the unpardonable sin. It's a sin,
right,
just like any sin, because suicide actually means, what is it again? It's self to kill. It started back in like 1671. It was when they framed it basically.
Sorry, we're just having technical difficulties. We look a little distracted. Something's going on.
You do this, and we can keep talking, or give it to Mel. But basically, it is a selfish act. I mean, and many times it could be an emotional state, or it could be a psychological state. There are two differences there, but irregardless of the differences, it doesn't mean that it's unpardonable. And we know that God has forgiven us. Our past sins, our present sins, and our future sins. And we can't judge their hearts and where somebody's at.
Unfortunately, this just got locked on us, so we can't use it.
Oh, okay, interesting.
So that's why we're having problems here.
That's right.
So I can unlock it, but you're going to have to give me a second.
Okay.
So, but no, is it a unforgivable sin? Absolutely not. My problem is with it. A lot of people will argue you're playing God.
Yeah, you are essentially playing God.
Okay, and a person who espoused these beliefs all their life, well, not all their life, but preached it to everybody, has now gone and done something like this.
Yes.
So the case is, are they being a hypocrite? I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm not saying I'm speaking any of my beliefs.
It's a very sensitive topic, of course, and there's
Right.
people that I'm sure that may be watching this now or later on in a later time that you know somebody that did this. I mean, I do. I mean, but the thing is, I don't really know where their hearts were at, but I do know that God is a God that is so in love. He so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son for whosoever believeth. And also, it says that he gave him who knew no sin to become sin for us, that we might become the righteousness of God. If we believe that, and we received him, and we're walking in faith.
Mel, if you do me a favor, can you plug that wire back in, and we will get this thing unlocked.
Right.
Sorry, I had to interrupt you so we can get the line open for Ken or Ted.
And so basically, that is that's that. Kind of got distracted there.
No, so I'm sorry, we're getting distracted here because I can't get this silly phone undone. But what I'm having issues with is, or not issues, if you want to say, suicide. A lot of people, and I want to make the caveat to this. Anything that I'm about to say is not to be condemning. It is, as we talked about, Kenny. It's a very sensitive topic, and it's really unique, I think, to every individual case.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because there are people who are insensitive, and I'm going to use that word very loosely, who will say somebody who has committed suicide is being a coward, not taking, life directly, and is always taking the easy way out. And
Yeah.
I mean, I'll argue. I don't know how easy suicide is, but I'll entertain your thought for a second.
Yeah.
Because I know somebody very personally who says, "Well, that was just selfish. That person committed suicide. It's the easy way out, and you're not. How can you do something like that?"
So Ted is here. Ted, you're there. I see you. If you could just, is that almost ready? Can he call it?
He says he tried calling it, but
Maybe it was just because it was turned off for a second.
It's not working, and I do not know why it is not working, and it is unlocked now.
Okay, so try that again there, Ted.
Ted, you can try calling in now. It may be. I got it to finally unlock.
Yeah.
Full disclosure that we use a secondary cell phone for our call in here on the show.
Yeah.
It's also a cell phone that I allow my son to use for going online and looking at video games and things like that.
So you have some security on it.
But I have control over it where I can lock his phone out. And here we go.
Is it? Yeah, he's calling in right now. So, Ted Flint.
Can you hear us?
Oh, hold on a second. Hold on there, Ted. Let me get you plugged back in here. Is that the right one?
Yes. Ted, can you hear us? We are having all sorts of trouble tonight.
That's right. It's not coming in there.
Does he have it on the mixer? You in?
I don't have any signal.
Yeah, it's not coming through. Yeah, you're good, Ted. Stay right there for 1 second. We're trying to figure out what the deal is with the phone. It's not coming in through the. Is that plugged in over there? Did that come out loose at all? Double check.
Up until tonight. Check 1 2.
Sugar.
Well,
Hold on. Keep talking about this for a second. I'm gonna take this call with Ted, and then we'll get him bound.
yeah, that's fine.
Hey, Ted.
All right.
Take the case off.
So Mel,
Hold on 1 second.
were we
I'm
having
taking the case off.
technical difficulties here?
Sometimes the case gets in the way.
Can you grab the wire?
Just trying something there. Yeah, I know, right? We got it. We're all of it. Hold on 1 second.
Does that work at all?
Does that work at all?
Yeah, I can.
There it is.
Hey, we're
Here's
in.
the case. We are on, and we've got Ted.
Ah.
Ted, it's really awesome to actually have you on the show finally.
Well, something. This is the first time I've been on the air since the other job we had.
Dude, then I am absolutely privileged and honored to have you on for sure. We
apologize to the listeners for having some technical difficulties there for whatever reason that the system wasn't working. But we're live now. We have Ted.
And I gave a quick
and you
bio a
can hear
little
us well,
earlier,
right?
but I definitely want to give a quick synopsis here. Is that Ted and Elijah and I all worked together at a certain station, and Ted was the talk show host of an awesome talk show. It was God's Country, and we had an amazing run. It was awesome. It was sad to see it go, but Ted is you're definitely still one of my favorite talk show hosts of all time, and it's really awesome to have you. I feel like you're one of the greats, man. I do.
I appreciate that. I'm honored and privileged to be on this show. I watch you guys on Facebook Live. I don't catch it live, but I catch the playback. So it's you guys have a good thing going. I love the background, the American flag in the background. Get Old Glory. It's
That's
great.
right. That's right. We love it.
It was cheap on Amazon.
So I mean, Phil, bring me up to snuff on where you're talking about suicide, right? And
We're talking about suicide.
We started off with we were talking about Trump, and we talked about how he basically there's a lot of Christians out there who for whatever reason they don't really know why, but they just hate him, and sometimes I think they just listen to something, hear something, they're like, oh, he's just horrible. But they don't really know why he's horrible. Yeah. So we kind of started there, and then we started talking about life and how we love how he's pro-life. That's one of the biggest things that was attractive. And then we got onto
that's right.
Yeah, and then we got onto life, and we're talking about suicide and this type of, and that has to do with life as well. So
yeah,
go
ahead.
You could really marry these two topics together. I don't mean to make light of it, but I think the Democrats are committing suicide, political suicide. Right? Some of the policies they're advocating. I think really they're sealing their own fate. Although Elizabeth Warren is really moving up in the polls pretty rapidly, she's coming up on Joe Biden, who has a pretty substantial lead in some polls. But Warren is making strides, and she's kind of separating herself from Bernie Sanders, who's sliding into a distant third. So, but I think to your point about why so many Christians support, a lot of Christians support Trump. A lot don't, because I think of the way he leads. He's led his personal life. He's been married 3 times. He's had the affairs between the marriages, and all that. So I think that's kind of off-putting to a lot of Christians. But I think he is staunchly defending he's a defender of life. He's protecting innocent human life by his Supreme Court picks and his federal court nominees. He's supporting Christians in that way. I think he's defending the issues that Christians find to be important. That's why they support him.
Absolutely. Agreed 100%. And I don't know, but the thing is like you mentioned how he had 3 wives or whatever like that. There's a lot of people in our churches today that have had the same issues.
Well, the great thing.
Oh, sure.
The thing about that is, yes, you can highlight the sin or you can highlight the flaw, but yet I think that also highlights how he's no different than the rest of us.
Yeah.
And I call myself a Christian, yet I have some stuff in my background that if you were to highlight it, how could you call yourself
Which
a Christian?
we try to do here on the Ken and Mike show. But
Yeah, they try to expose it all the time.
No, look, none of us is. We all fall short of the glory.
Yes.
Amen.
Right. Every one of us. And I know what the Bible says about a man if he sleeps with another woman who's not his. In other words, if you divorce, then you've committed adultery, and the woman with whom your second wife or whatever she's committed adultery. But that's if it's taken literally. But God does forgive all sins. So that's a tough one. There's so many people divorced today. Many Christians are divorced, and I was brought up Catholic, so I was brought up to believe that you don't get divorced. Although I have siblings who a younger sister who's been divorced twice. So is she going to hell? No. I'm not going to make that judgment.
Right.
Correct. And I think also, as a caveat to that is, also, whereas us as a body or as a church, where are we failing society? Where are we failing the culture that it's become more of a, everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
Type of deal.
It's the easy thing. I don't want to do this anymore. So I'm done. Yeah.
So where are we coming along our brothers and sisters and supporting them and trying to walk alongside them in their dilemma, whatever might be going on in marriage, and encouraging them staying together? There's that whole aspect of it. So we're pointing to the sin of the person who's committed this, but us as a body of Christ, where are we holding ourselves accountable for lifting our brothers and sisters up in these situations and helping them through it and healing them and walking them through it?
Well, I think, Ted, you mentioned like you grew up a Catholic, and not Catholicism in specifically, but a lot of the old folks back in the day, like I know my brother-in-law's grandfather, for example, they stayed in the same house all their lives, had the same job all his life, and they stayed married until they died. I mean, that was like everybody did that at that time.
It's a dying breed.
That's right.
Right, but so, and now I feel like our society and the media and things are just finding anything, a magic pill for anybody to feel better all the time, to where people, even if you come alongside them sometimes, they're still kind of getting coaxed into believing something else.
Because the grass is always greener.
Yeah, because it's just easy, and they're always searching for that thing.
Right.
I mean,
well, I think they're caught up in what the world thinks is acceptable, and we're not, as Christians, we're not to do that. Obviously, we have to be in the world, but we're not to be of it.
Yes.
Amen.
And that's a challenge for us. And I think Catholics are. I think divorce among Catholics is pretty much what it is among the general population. I think it's nearing 50% in some cases. And I think a lot of the problem, you mentioned the media, the culture, and all that's true. I think the Pope, and I'm going to, this Pope is, I've read so many things about him in recent days and weeks. I think he's part of the problem, a big part of it.
Amen. I'm glad you said it.
Politically, he's a man of the left, and I think some have called him a communist. I wouldn't go so far as to call him a communist, but he said, I was reading in the Daily Wire this week, that he's inviting people, representatives of multiple religions, to sign a global pact of education. I mean, he wants to hand on to younger generations a united in what he says a fraternal common home. But that's not his job as the leader of I forget how many Catholics are in the world, 3 billion Catholics. His job is to bring people to Christ.
Right.
That's right.
That's true.
Yes.
That's the truth.
Right? I don't think he's getting involved in this climate change business, and he's inserting himself into the politics of the world, and I don't think that's. I mean, the Catholic Church has always done that to some degree, but this Pope has taken it to a new level. I mean, he sounds like Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Regarding the agenda.
Well, the thing is the Pope is supposed to be the mouthpiece of God, so to speak. Am I correct as far as what the Catholics believe, right? And this man who is supposed to be a man of the Word, a man of the Scripture. I mean, he jumps onto politics and climate change and all that stuff. Has he ever read the end of the Bible? We win. I know we're not going to die because of a self implosion of a climate change catastrophe.
And whenever I hear education and cultural and religions all together, I mean, our education system right now is pretty wacky, and as a whole. Not in certain sects, they're still pretty good. I mean, you see what's happening even in New York State with the vaccines and with all these things that are happening. It's outrageous. And so when you think about combining people coming together like that, it doesn't make any. That's not quality. That's just chaos to me.
Well, the reason being. Sorry. Well, the reason being is he's trying to hide away from what's going on in the Catholic Church. All these fathers are getting
sex abuse scandals.
Sex abuse, and so he's trying to cover that.
Yeah, I think that doesn't really. Obviously, they have to be addressed here locally with Bishop Howard Hubbard, and he's back in the news again too. There are other allegations have been made against him, but I think this Pope, I think, is a globalist for one thing, and I'm not sure. Somebody accused him of not even being Catholic. I don't know who it was, but I don't want to get too into the conspiracy side of this with you guys. But I've been reading about this for 30 years. I mean,
I think you can make a point.
Joseph Stalin made it a point to infiltrate the Catholic Church, and the Communist Party and the communists in general. It's a worldwide movement. Have tried to infiltrate. I think they've been successful in infiltrating the Catholic Church, and I think we're seeing now the seeds of that, or the results of those planting of the seeds over the decades. We have people. The Catholic Church is just not where it was when I was growing up, and I think there's been a constant watering down of the doctrines, and we're seeing the fruits of it.
Yes.
It's not good fruit.
Yeah, agreed. By the way, for those who are tuned in right now, we are talking with Ted Flint. He was the host of God's Country. For those who knew what God's Country was back on the radio station, I won't mention the radio station, but
Some station.
I don't want to.
Why? I don't know why.
But I
A
will,
station.
We don't
Yeah.
need lawsuits.
We don't. We know there'll be one. So I'll tell you what, though. We had a really great run, and Ted, I wish I could say like, oh, he could be heard somewhere right now. We got to start something
Hey,
to get
Ted,
you back
you
on
and
the
me
air.
both.
I've
Yeah.
never met you, but I personally wanted to take the time to say thank you for doing the voiceover for the Ken and Mike show.
Yes.
We really
Yes.
appreciate that.
Oh, I enjoyed it immensely. If you guys, anytime you need that, I charge $100 a word.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're cheap.
That's right. You got that right.
Hey,
But I love broadcasting. That's all I've ever wanted to do, and I'd miss it a great deal. And just to see you guys, you have so much. You look like you're having fun.
We are having fun.
we are
yes.
we are having fun.
Hey, before we get into the suicide, because we'll touch on that real quick with you. If you could,
Yep.
for the people who are listening, kind of give your broadcast background. Like, who are you? What did you do? And what did you come out of, kind of thing.
Well, can I mention commercial stations other than the one we worked at?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, go ahead.
All right. Yeah, I started back in the early 80s, and I started in a small station in Glens Falls, and then eventually I wound up at WGY, 2 stints there. I did an overnight talk show back in the late 80s, only on Sunday nights. I was more fill-in. I was just in my 20s, young guy and everything. So I went from GY, bounced around a little bit like anybody in broadcasting. Is a friend of mine. He's been in broadcasting longer than I have. He said, "I've been at more stations than Amtrak."
That's
I was
awesome.
at ROW. I think that's defunct now. Was at a couple of other stations that are, 30 years, 30 plus years in the business. News talk, music, you name it, I've done it. I've written copy and. And I've enjoyed it a great deal.
And both you and your wife have done a lot of voiceover work as well.
Yeah, my wife she was assistant production director at GY back in the late 90s. That's where we met, at GY, and we got married. We have 4 kids, and I work at the New York State Assembly, and with the one salary, it's difficult making ends meet, but the Lord has provided for us.
Yes.
He's provided. And
He's cool like that, isn't he?
He is cool like
Put
that.
my faith in him.
That's right. And the cool thing is, once in a blue moon, I haven't in a while, but I used to hear that commercial once in a while on GY for, I think it was Gemstones or something like that. Or
Gemstone. My wife and I did that. And Glenn Beck would air during his show in the morning. I've heard it. I haven't heard it lately though.
No, but it really great voiceover work though. Always, both you and your wife.
Oh,
very
you
inspirational,
very much,
of course. So Ted Flint is the one. When you hear our bumper, that's his voice. So we are very, very thankful for that. So suicide.
So in light, Ted, in light of, I'm sure you heard of the pastor Jared Wilson who committed suicide.
Yes, I've read that today. Yes.
And in light of that, I guess a person who ministers the gospel and who preaches and teaches the word of God, and we usually speak about life and life abundant. The question always is, someone who commits suicide, being of faith, where do they spend eternity?
Yeah.
And that was just something that we were talking about here on the show. I mean, had they, we know the scripture only says there's only one unpardonable sin, and that's to grieve the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
But where do we stand in playing God as far as suicide? And Ken and I were, before we were able to finally get you on the phone, we were playing both sides of the fence there, both sides of the argument, and we just wanted to bring you in on the conversation.
I heard a little bit of it when I was dialing in. I listened to you, Mike, saying that, and I've heard this argument that people who commit suicide take the coward's way out, and that's really unfair because, I mean, can you imagine being in that kind of emotional and mental state where you feel as though you have nothing, you have no alternative but to take your own life? I mean, it's just I can't even fathom what that's like. Growing up Catholic, we were taught that only the Lord can give and take life. He is, the giver of life. So it's you commit a mortal sin by committing suicide. I don't know. Nobody knows, but nobody knows what happens in that instant of death when we pass from this life to the next. Jesus could approach that person and save him in that moment.
Right. and like I argued,
we don't know.
Right. Yeah, we don't.
And like I argue with Ken, not Ken. The point I brought up before the show, I think I did it before we went on the air. It's like, what Jesus did on the cross, was it enough for your sins of yesterday? Is it enough for your sins of today? Is it enough for the sins of your future? So in that moment, is suicide a sin? Absolutely, but is what Christ did enough to even cover that sin?
Yeah, because murder is a sin, and it is identified as such, except it's self-murder.
Right, murder.
Yeah, and
killing is different than murder. There's a difference legally, and there's a difference in the Bible too.
That's right. And there are different, like this gentleman. What is his name again? Jared Wilson. Okay, so he had mental health issues. He was a big advocate for it.
He was.
We don't know where he was at the time. I mean, who knows? Maybe he really had some serious psychological something happening. I don't know. We don't know why. I mean, this stuff happens. I mean, I mentioned this a lot. One of my favorite singers just a few years ago who committed suicide after a show was Chris Cornell of Soundgarden. And I just was.
Oh, yes.
I was like, what the heck? Like, really? I don't.
Yeah.
And even his wife and his. I mean, we don't know the whole story. I didn't know him personally. I mean, he's a major, musician. But who knows? I mean, it was very weird. No nothing. No, anxiety medication. That's pretty. Yeah, nothing. Just done.
Well, do you think?
I could share a couple of quick.
Yeah, go ahead,
please.
I know we're up against the clock here.
No.
I mean, I had a cousin. Maybe 15 years ago, took his own life. And, he and I were very close when we were teenagers. We used to go fishing together, and we spent a lot of time together. And I guess he had, had gotten involved with a woman, and I guess he had alcohol issues, and he took his own life. And we were just shocked by that. And another guy we used to work with at the assembly did the same thing maybe 2 years ago. Oh. And he came down to our office on a Friday, and my boss and I were talking to him. Nice guy, maybe 40, young guy, had a couple of sons. And the next day, he was out with his sons. They went into Home Depot to get something, and I guess he got some rope, and then he took his own life that night. I mean, he had 2 teenage sons, and so everybody knows somebody. It affects so many people today in our society. It's just so tragic.
And that's awful. And I mean, I would also, venture to say that I think us as a body and as Christians and the church folk, if you will, I think we got to be careful about using those blanket statements with people because it touches everybody differently. And immediately, and I've seen it in my own circles that immediately you hear somebody committed suicide, they're a coward. They did the unthinkable. There is no way they're going to spend. Where's the compassion?
But it's like they point right to that and not look at the rest of their life. It's like when as soon as somebody commits a sin, that's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he did that. Like we look at King David. Right. I mean, thankfully we don't. I mean, when we read that, we kind of we don't pass by. We look at the Bathsheba thing, but then we go by that and see all his other accomplishments.
Right.
Well, that's right. It didn't end with Bathsheba, but we all transgress. But and I agree with you on the suicide thing. It's just I'm not going to pass judgment. That's not my place. I mean, the Lord will handle that. But I mean, to say that they're cowards is just it's unfair.
Yeah.
Oh, didn't Judas commit suicide?
He did.
Yes, he
Judas
did.
Iscariot, and he walked with Jesus.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to
because of what he did. He
push shade on that, but it's a human reality.
He was in a dark place.
Well,
and I know why. Yeah,
you sold out the Lord.
Don't be wrong. And I mentioned this. I think I mentioned this on the.
You better head for the nearest tree.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I don't know if I mentioned this on the air earlier. I think it was before the show. But I mean, before I got saved when I was 17.
Okay.
Before that, I was super depressed. I had a buddy of mine in high school who basically, I told him that I wanted to kill myself. And next thing you know, I saw him at my house. Yeah, I saw him at my house, and I was like, "What's Jay doing here?" Type of thing. And then him and his father left, and I was like, he didn't really talk to me. He just came to my family. So then my parents came to me and told me, they're like, Kenny, Jay told me what you've been saying.
Right.
And it was, and because I did. I mean, there was a couple of times where I contemplated.
And you need to have people that strong in your life that are willing to do that.
Yeah, and I had a gun. I had a gun in my room. I was kind of ready, type of thing. And I next thing you know, I ended up in counseling. And then soon after that, I got literally radically saved. I mean, but I remember being like, there's nothing in this life that I can even. I mean, and I wasn't a Christian. Don't get me wrong, but still. There's times as a Christian where I get like, what the heck, but I don't get to that place. But, I can see how it's possible. I don't think this is a horrible term to use, bravery. It's not brave to kill yourself, but I'm saying I wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah, I think I'd be chicken.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think and alluding to that same point that you made. I think adolescence. There's a point in a lot of that kids in their teenage years that are going through a lot of different changes, hormonal things, rebellious stuff.
Yeah.
I went through that myself, and I think I even remember uttering those words. I just wish it was over. I don't want to deal with this junk anymore. That was before I got saved, so I'm using the clean version. But I went through that. So I think we need to have our heads on a swivel.
Yeah.
Us now being people who have walked through that and being Christians, have our head on a swivel and recognize those same signs in the people that we come in contact with.
Be alert and literally ask the Lord that He give us wisdom and discernment, so that if we come across somebody, that we can just be there. You know what I mean? I think that's because you can't make anybody do anything, but you can certainly be there, to do that. So
absolutely.
Man, what the heck time is it? That's
Holy
crazy.
cow.
But before you even go, Ted,
well, we're not letting you go yet.
Where? I mean,
what are you doing now?
Well, I
still work for the Assembly, full-time, New York State Assembly. And I'm in the market for, I'm pitching the talk show, so I'm trying to get my audio together.
Yeah.
And
well, if you need help, we know some guys.
What's that?
If you need help, you need some producers, anybody, you know some guys who would whatever it takes.
We'll help you get up and running.
Yeah.
All right. I'll take you up on that. Is Malaysia there?
Yeah, I'm right here.
You're right there.
I'm right here,
Ted.
Ted.
Malaysia. How's it going?
Good. How's it going?
It's going well. I'm busy as busy can be. Got 4 young kids. I can hear them upstairs now making a racket. So I think I got to get upstairs and deal with them. But this has been great, you guys.
Ted, thank you so much.
Thank you for coming on the show, Ted.
Is there any way is there somewhere we can send people to see you yet, or not yet?
But I have a Facebook page, but other than that, no, I don't do Instagram. But
so listen,
I'll let you know.
Yeah,
I'll be in contact, and and next time I'm on, if you guys have me on again, we'll. I could see now. I'm looking at Malaysia through my computer.
Yes.
Yep.
But for now, you guys, if you want, you can look up Ted on Ted Flint on Facebook, and if he wants to accept you as a friend, he will. If he doesn't, he will reject you, and don't feel bad.
I don't have many friends. I don't have many.
But he
They're
is.
overrated.
Yeah, listen, I'm saying this not just to toot your horn, but basically, Ted literally knows his stuff when it comes to politics. He's been doing this for, like he said, 30 years in the radio business, and when he gets up and running, please be looking out for Ted Flint, because he really is he's gonna be on the major player. It's gonna be him, Michael Savage, and Glenn Beck, and all that kind of stuff.
Hey, from your lips to God's ears, right?
That's right.
Hey, Ted, we really
thanks,
appreciate you coming on the show, and I'm glad I finally got to talk to you. I haven't met you in person, but meeting you on the air, I really appreciate you coming on.
All right, Mike. Mike, thank you very much. Kenny and Malaysia, we'll see you soon.
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes.
Hey, God bless you.
Talk to you soon, man.
Take it
All
easy.
right. God bless you too.
And so we're a little over, but we probably should say a couple of facts, right? Shall we? Would you like to?
Yeah.
Do you have a couple with you?
Do you want to do the news story?
Yeah.
Do your news story, and then I'll run over through my facts.
Okay.
Guys, stay on the air.
Yes.
We'll do it, and
important.
we'll wrap the show
It's
up with
important,
that.
yeah. So when you're ready,
We're going to wrap up the show with the funny story, or the serious news, and my silly facts.
Yeah. And by the way, Ted, if you're still listening, I want to let you. Maureen asked if maybe you wanted her to call Jean.
Yeah, she's in the chat.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead. Tonight on the Ken and Mike Show, on the news segment here, we've got some very important news. And by the way, Maureen, if you are still tuned in, you'll enjoy this one. And it doesn't say this in the thing, but I watched the video, and they are Asian drivers.
What happened to your paper, Ken?
So I spilled coffee earlier. Okay. I hit the table with my knee, and that's So it says silly news on there, but these are very, very serious silly news segments, articles. So anyway, listen to this. So a video shows a Tesla driver apparently sound asleep zooming down the Massachusetts Turnpike. And again, Maureen, they were Asian. I don't know if that means anything for you. I think you get my drift.
They have cameras.
What do?
Did they have cameras?
The Teslas?
No,
the people that were driving by were
no.
Oh,
the stereotype with the Asians, they always had the cameras.
oh, I don't know.
Taking pictures.
But one was sound asleep, literally just this driver had his head down like this, and the passenger was like, so, and the ladies were like honking their horn, like, what are these people doing? So they were in a self-driving car, a Tesla, and the driver who took the video on Sunday pulled alongside the Tesla and honked the horn several times in an effort to awaken the driver, whose chin remained slumped to his chest.
Chin, was that his last name?
Yeah. I knew. So Tesla has sophisticated self-driving features, as we know, called autopilot, but the automaker warns drivers to keep their hands on the steering wheel and stay alert. It was just so strange and baffling, Dakota Randall, the driver who took the turnpike footage, told CBS TV in Boston. I thought I saw somebody asleep at the wheel, but I wasn't sure, so I did a double take. Sure enough, they were. They looked like they needed to go home and go to bed. So I think that's the bottom line. Tesla, of course, says some of these videos are hoax. I don't know about that.
I got a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
The guy that was taking the video was probably worried about the safety of the people who were sleeping while driving.
Yes.
Was the guy taking the video on his phone driving himself?
It was it was probably a police officer. They're trained for that kind of stuff.
Oh,
Mike.
yeah.
That's what they say anyway.
Just
I won't go into that. It's a frustration of mine, obviously. Now, listen. This is a gripping story. Gripping. And yeah.
If I'm reading the headline right, real gripping.
Pigeon poops on lawmaker griping about pigeon poop on live TV. You can kind of get the thing there. So Pigeon apparently didn't think much of lawmakers' ideas to address a messy situation at Chicago. Of course, it's in Chicago. Transit authority stopped, known by some as Pigeon Poop Station. So the bird did its business on the head of a Democratic state representative, Jamie. Well, everybody in Chicago is Democrat.
I'm a fan of this pigeon.
So he was discussing the problem, and during the interview, Andrade rubbed the top of his head and said, "I think they just got me." They did. The sidewalks outside of the station are covered in bird waste and feathers. Andrade has been trying to fix the problem. One of his ideas is to ask the CTA to install a hose line for power washing, blah, blah, blah. We don't really care. So the bottom line is
just the irony of legislation about bird poop and then being pooped on by bird. That's just funny.
Got him real good. Last thing.
That's just funny.
If you are in love, I suggest that you don't do this if you break up. If your significant other or whoever it is giving you love letters, just throw them out. Don't burn them in your apartment. A woman sparks apartment fire by burning love letters. Okay, so police in Lincoln say a 19-year-old woman sparked an apartment fire Monday by burning love letters from her ex in her bedroom. Police say the woman used a butane torch to burn the letters and left some of them on the floor. And guess what she did? From all that work and effort into burning those love letters, she then went to another room to take a nap. Police say she awoke a short time later to find the carpet on fire. So...
Wow, was this in Florida?
It must have been a love carpet, too, she wanted to burn down, so I don't know.
Was this in Florida? This always happens to Florida.
Yeah, I don't know where this was.
Is it Florida
actually.
woman?
Florida man.
Florida man, Florida
it's
woman.
His daughter. So, yeah, anyway, so...
Ex-wife.
Estimated $4,000 in damage. So
wow.
She broke up with her ex, and she burned down her apartment.
Wow, okay then.
Don't do that, folks.
Don't have carpet in your apartment.
Yeah, amen to that.
Yeah, hardwood floors
floors are way better.
Don't fall asleep while you're burning paper.
Yeah.
So I got some silly facts for you guys.
Yes, you do. I want to hear these.
We went over a couple of these before the show, and there's a couple we wanted to share with you that were pretty interesting.
Yes, they were, yeah.
They were kind of good. Green Eggs and Ham. You remember that book by Dr. Seuss?
Yeah.
Did you know it started as a bet? The Dr. Seuss classic grew out of a bet with its editor that he could not create a book using fewer than 50 different words. The editor bet $50 that he could not create a book with less than 50 words. That publisher was later grown on to be Random House, and we know who they are. But I just thought it was an interesting fact.
It is interesting.
That the Green Eggs and Ham started off as a
Do you guys know Dr. Seuss's real name?
Yes, I do. But go ahead.
I don't know right now. I forgot to.
It was something
somewhere in my brain, but I don't remember now.
Okay.
Anyway.
I thought you were going to share it with us.
No, I'm not going to do that.
Then why'd you ask for it?
Well, anybody who can tell us, maybe they can get a
We gotta get them made first.
Yeah, okay, we can't say that yet. Oh, by the way, guys, I forgot to tell you guys.
We can make T-shirts.
Yeah,
Yes, I can make
there
t-shirts.
is we do have coffee mugs. We have Ken ones available. Let us know that you want one. Okay.
Mike's not even paying attention.
Nope. No, I'm paying attention. I'm just not acknowledging it anymore. Because, Ken, this fact was written for you.
Okay, I want to hear it. Okay.
High heels were originally worn by men.
Really?
Why do I picture you in high heels?
I don't know. I've worn them. I've done it.
Wigs were too.
Yeah.
I bet you.
I've been in high heels before.
I don't doubt it.
For fun. Yeah.
Warren Street?
No, no, my gosh. Wow. How dare you talk about...
That was back when he was 16.
Yeah, it was actually.
In the 10th century, men in Europe adopted the now classic fashion choice of heels to make it easier to ride their horses. Adding heels to their boots made it easier to stay in their stirrups. How come I could really see that going wrong?
I don't know.
The Slate explained the Persian cavalry wore inch-high heels. The trend spread to Europe. Since they showed that the wearer owned and maintained horses, high heels became associated with the upper class.
An inch? Oh, you may seem like it was 3 inches. I mean, look at logger boots. They have like 2 inches of heels.
Wow.
Wow. Okay. Megan got this. She got the. Listen,
that.
Megan, you will be sent a Ken mug. Thank you. Thank
No,
you for voting. Thank you for voting for Ken mug.
Didn't we agree that the viewer has to choose?
Oh, right.
We
okay.
can't choose.
Sorry,
for them.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, but if you'd like a Ken mug, let me know. Hey, you said this is a competition, so.
Yeah, you lost.
Oh.
All right, so did you know Queen Elizabeth is a trained mechanic?
I did not know that. No.
Like
Queen Elizabeth.
Like she could
Queen
change
Elizabeth
my oil.
is a trained mechanic. The Queen is actually quite handy. When she was 16, she joined the British Employment Agency, the Labor Exchange, where she learned the basics of truck repair. Can you picture that woman under a truck?
No, not
Diesel?
at this age
Was
anyway.
it diesel?
Well, listen to this. You know, she knows how to change a tire, fix engines, and drive an ambulance. Now she has others who can do such things for her, but it's nice to know if one of her cars broke down, the Queen might be able to get you out of a jam.
That's pretty cool.
That is really cool.
What did feminists say about that?
What else does she do? What does she do as a queen? Kind of just look good, right?
Well,
you know what I mean. I'm not
well, I really can. And
kind of. You
you
know
like
what I'm
old
saying?
ladies, don't you?
No,
Presentable.
no, I do not.
Elegant.
Look like a
Regal?
queen.
Regal.
All right, so here's my last fact.
World War II, she says.
I'm going to read you the one last fact. I have a whole bunch of them here, but we'll save them for next week. Did you know that New York was briefly named New Orange?
I'm glad they changed that name.
Hey, but I want to real quick on your
Yeah,
fact.
she was in World War II. She was a mechanic.
That's cool.
Wow, very good. All right, so I'm impressed. She knew that. New York was briefly named New Orange. Raise your hand out there if you ever knew that, because this is a fact I learned tonight.
That would not go over well if it was New Orange, because Trump is from New York.
Oh, God.
Wow, that's actually funny.
That was a great...
Yeah, that was good,
That was
Mel.
good, Mel. Wow, you
Wow.
earned your paycheck this week.
Yeah.
New Amsterdam was founded by the Dutch in 1653 and taken renamed New York by the English in 1964. However, the Dutch briefly reclaimed the area and dubbed it New Orange. That name lasted for about a year until it was returned to the British under the Treaty of Westminster and returned to the name New York.
That's fascinating.
So, cool fact that we live in the great state of New Orange.
I mean, I guess that's kind of like we're in New York, so we know New York. If it was New Orange, we'd just go with it.
I always knew that the original name was New Amsterdam.
I didn't know that.
I knew that.
Yeah.
And then I knew it took on the name New York as reference to York over in Europe. But I did not know it had New Orange as the name. That's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
So there's your crazy, silly facts for tonight.
Isn't
Brought
that
to you by the
Orange-
Ken and Mike Show.
Isn't that Orange County in New York?
There's Orange County, which I've been in Orange County a couple times, couple of events.
So
Yeah.
anyway,
Listen. By the way, wait. I do want to say
Yes.
that for those who are tuning in tonight, thank you, because this is our new, as most of you know by now, it is our new night, our new day.
Yep.
Night, whatever you want to call it, and our same time every Thursday now.
8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time
for the Ken and Mike Show, and we are again we are doing our mugs are slowly
coming around.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. We're going to say it one more time. This is what the plan is with these mugs. Here at the Ken and Mike Show, we are going to produce mugs, and you can either buy them for $20 a piece to support the Ken and Mike Show, or you can have the opportunity to get a mug for free. And who doesn't like free stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can get a mug for free, but there's only
you can win one.
Yeah, you can win one. But the
Yeah.
only way to get that mug is you have to pay attention to the Ken and Mike Show.
That's right.
So we're gonna throw out, whether
Random
it be
questions,
silly
yeah.
facts, the news stories, or something that we talked about, or a clue, something in the show that you have to be listening for and be able to answer a question the following week or something along those lines. We really haven't worked out the details, but when you win this mug, you have to choose if you want my mug on your mug or you want Ken's mug on your mug. So you're either hot with Ken
For Ken.
or full with Mike.
Don't be shy.
Which mug do you prefer?
Which mug do you prefer? And then this way, we'll tally them all up when we get through all the mugs.
Yes.
And Ken and I are going to have a little competition to see whose mug sells the most or is given away the most, who people desire the most. And then maybe, we'll have a winner segment here, and
Be able to just roast the other one.
Yeah, we'll see who's got the preferred mug.
Yes, I do want to do a shout out to my mom. It was her birthday. Mom, happy birthday! I love you. You faithfully watch this show.
Happy birthday to you from me as well.
Yep.
I love you as well.
And it is my birthday on Saturday. Yeah,
No, we
nobody
don't
cares.
We don't care about that. But
Guess what I'll be doing on my birthday? I'll be cutting some trees down on my birthday. That's
what are you doing with the
birthday
wood?
present. You can have some.
Okay.
Yeah, and my neighbor's grabbing a bunch too. So as long he's
okay.
yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
Anyway, guys, thank you very much.
Hey, we have to mention before we go off the air that this show is brought to you in part by our friends over at Tri-Oak
That's
Builders.
right.
You want anything done with
keep going
tile work,
with it.
bathroom work, anything with their kitchen, you need to call those guys over there at Tri-Oak Builders.
518-267-3288 or
Got it without reading it yet again.
trioakbuilders.com.
So call Preston, call Eli, get your work done. Tune in here next week, Thursday night, 8 p.m. We'll have more topics for you. We hope you're going to call in and be a part of the Ken and Mike Show. We appreciate you tuning in. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter,
Instagram, Castbox,
iTunes. We're
Google us like crazy,
Yes.
and you will find us. Yeah.
So and let us know what you want to hear about here on the Ken and Mike Show, because the show's about you.
It is. God
See
bless
you
you
next
guys.
week. God bless.
The Ken and Mike Show.